Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Today's daf is daf Samech Vav, and we start from the very first line, the very first word on Samech Vav. Love when that happens. Zug the Heilige Gemara. Chamra Atika Be'invei. If you have Yain Nesech, they got mixed into grapes. So Yain Nesech, not just Yain Nesech, Chamra Atika, right? Fermented and aged wine, it's called. Chamra Atika, aged wine. So the taste of aged wine is very different than grapes. Grapes is like grape juice, right? The juice that comes out of grapes is different than aged wine. So if you have aged wine, Yain Nesech, that got mixed into fresh grapes, so Divrei Hakol, B'nais and Tam, if you could taste the Yain Nesech, B'vadai, everybody agrees it's aser. Chamra Charata Be'invi. What if you have fresh wine, which is really grape juice, and it gets mixed into grapes? Abaye Omer B'mashu, V'rova Omar, B'nais and Tam. Here we have a machlokes. Abaye says it's min b'minoi, tastes the same. So min b'minoi, b'mashu, afilu be'elef le'batel. V'rova Omer B'nais and Tam. No, it's not min b'minoi. Why not? Because one is wine, one is called wine, and one is called grapes. Gemara's going to explain. Abaye b'mashu, bas time is lini, you go after Tam. Idav idachat taimu, davel min b'mashu. So min b'minoi because you go after the taste. And since fresh wine and fresh grapes taste the same, right? It's grape juice, both tastes like grape juice. So therefore, it's min b'minoi and b'mashu. V'rov amras and tam bas shmazlin. You go after the name. V'hai shmalachud. This is wine. V'hai shmalachud. And this is grapes. Avlim min b'sheina min b'sheina b'nais and tam. So the Heilige Gemara. That's machlokes Abaye and Rava. Look, the Gemara Tanan. The Gemara is going to ask Abaye from our Mishnah. It says Yain Nesech shnafel gaba novim. It says Yain Nesech falls onto a novim. The halacha is that you could just wipe it off if there's no cracks. But if there's cracks, it's aser. The Gemara, when the Gemara is asking this question from the Mishnah on Abaye, the Gemara is assuming that we're dealing with fresh wine in the Mishnah. So it's fresh wine with grapes. So what do you see from here? That it's bottle b'nois and tam, my love b'nois and tam. Yeah, if it's b'nois and tam, it's aser. But if it's not nois and tam, it's mutter. So l'chayro, because the Mishnah finishes off zaklal, right? So meaning it's only aser by mevakos, by grapes that have cracks, only if it's b'nais and tam. If the tam, the Yain Nesech gives tam, and if we're dealing with chamer charati, according to Abaye, don't do b'nais and tam. It's b'mashu. It's min b'minoi. Must be Rava's right. Gemara says loy b'mashu. No, the ratio of the Mishnah when it says that if grapes have cracks and Yain Nesech falls into it, it's b'mashu. It's not b'nais and tam. I frag the Gemara, B'diktani b'seifa, zaklal kol she'b'nos b'nais tam aser, kol she'ein b'nos b'nais tam mutter mechlal b'nais tam askinan. What do you mean? The Mishnah in the end ends off and says it's totally a nice and tam. Gemara says Abaye will answer you know masnisne b'chamra tika be'invei. You know what? You're right. Since the Mishnah ends off zaklal, it's going back on the case of wine that falls into anovim derem of the cracked grapes. So l'chayro, how could it be that it's b'nois and tam? If it's chamra charati, it's min b'mino, it should be b'mashu. Says the Gemara, Abaye will tell you, b'chamra tika be'invei. We're talking about aged wine, and that's why it's b'nois and tam, because there is for sure min b'shaloi, min b'sheina minoi. Now the Gemara says like this, chalad de chamra, v'chalad de shechra. Yeah? What if you have vinegar from Yain Nesech, vinegar of beer, right? That are mixed together, or let's say sour, or let's say starter from chitim, and starter of sa'orim that were nis'ariv, and one was truma, one was chulin, yeah, heter and iser. Abaye omer b'nais and tam bas atayim bas linon, right? V'hai taim l'chod, v'hai taim l'chod. In both cases, by the wine of the beer, or by the sa'or of chitim, sa'or of sa'orim, yeah. There you have two different tastes. So Mamela it's b'nais and tam. V'avlei min b'shein min b'shein and tam. Rav Amar b'mashu. B'as hashmaz linon. V'hai chal mikra, v'hai chal mikra, v'hai chamer mikra, v'hai chamir mikra. V'avlei min b'mashu. Here's the opposite. Right, the opposite machlokes over here. Rava will be machmer because they're both called vinegar. Whether it's vinegar from Yain Nesech or vinegar from beer, both called vinegar. It's called min b'minoi because b'as hashmaz linon. They have the same name. Also by sa'ir, sa'ir shel chitim, sa'ir shel sa'ir. It's sa'ir, it's starter, and therefore it's aser b'mashu. And Abaye says no, they taste different. B'asatayim bazlinan. Gemara says, how do I know that I'm right? That you always go b'asatayim when you want to be done, whether it's min b'mino or min b'sheina min. How do I know you go b'asatayim? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Mino Basar Time Lina Datnan Tavlin Shnai Mishloish Shem is Ven Menechod. If you have spice, a spice of Isra, of Ardo, let's say, that you metabel Shnai Mishloish Shemis Ven Menechod, and you have three types of spices. You have, let's say, palpel avan, palpel shachor, palpel aroch. Yeah, you have three different types of palpalim. They're all one type of palpal, but they have different names. Oy min shleisha, even let's say they're three different spices altogether. Let's say you have cinnamon and you have paprika and pepper. Yeah? So now you have three different spices. Mitztarfin, asur and mitztarfin. They are asur the mitztarf to asur the tafshol that they fell into. Chizkiah says, we're talking about where they all contribute to make it sweet. Since they have a common taste, right? The common taste is that they all three of them serve to sweeten the pot. So Mamela, it's mitzdarf and it's aser. If you say you go basar tam kulachat taimu, then I understand it's all one tam, and therefore it's mitzdarf. But if you say basar shma, how can you be mitzdarf these three spices? Hay shma lechod, hay shma lechod. Who cares if they're all mina mesika? They're all the same tam. You can't be mitzdarf it. They're all different minim, right? One is paprika, one is pepper, and the other is cinnamon. I mean, it doesn't matter that the fact that they contribute to sweeten the pot. Rav will tell you, no. This is Rabbi Meir. The tiny Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir's shita is that all the surim can be mitzdarf together. Any isser that I told you not to eat, whatever I asked her to eat, that is mitzdarf, even though they have different names and different tastes. It doesn't matter. Rabbi Meir is the one who says you can combine any isser and be mitzdarf any isser. And this Mishnah in Arla, right, that says that Shnayim and Shloisha Tavlinim that have different names and even different tastes, they're mitzdarf, that's Rabbi Meir. Or not different tastes, because Chizkiah says not different tastes. But even if it has different names, it's mitzdarf, that's Rabbi Meir. Now the Gemara says, what if you have vinegar into wine? You have chaymet shel isser that falls into wine. Says the Gemara, Divra koil benois and tam. Everybody holds that it's only benois and tam. Very interesting. Okay. Chamra legoy chala. If you have a wine of isser that falls into chaymet shel heter, machlokes Abaye Rava. Abaye omer b'mashu, v'Rava omer b'nois and tam. Abaye omer b'mashu. Why is it b'mashu? Because reichi chala v'tayim chamra chala. Whenever you have the smell of vinegar and the taste of wine, the halacha is it's considered chaymet. It's considered vinegar. So if you have reichi chala v'tayim chamra, if you have wine that smells like vinegar that gets mixed into vinegar, right? So it is aser b'mashu, says Abaye. You know why? Because you go after the smell. Rava Omer no b'nois and tam. Reichi chala v'tayim chamra. Whatever tastes like wine, even if it smells like vinegar, if it tastes like wine, it's wine. So here you have again the same. Okay, here you have a different machlokes actually. Here you have a different machlokes. The first machlokes we had today was whether min b'minoi means tam. How do you dan min b'minoi? Is it b'tam or b'shem? So Rava says min b'minoi is always dependent if it has the same name, even if it has different tastes. But if it has the same name, filo be'elef le'bato. Abaye says min b'minoi is basar tam. If it has the same taste, even if it has different names, it's min b'minoi or basar tam. We pass halacha like Rava that shma b'shma is min b'minoi, right? As long as it has the same names. Now we have another machlokes, a machlokes neisefes. What do you go basar? You go basar the smell or the taste? Yeah? What overpowers what? Abaye says go after the smell. So if you have, let's say, yayin nesach that turned into vinegar, that mixes up with vinegar shel heter. So here, is it min b'mina or not? So Abaye says it's min b'mina because it smells like vinegar, so that's considered vinegar. And Rava says, if it tastes like wine, it's min b'she'ena. Because you go basar the taste. Very interesting. Here you seem to have an opposite machlokes. Abaye says you always go basar taste. But when you have smell overrides taste. Very interesting. The smell overrides the taste, and you you basically classify it based on whatever it smells like. Rabbi Kiva says on the side of it, kosherly, ma bekach, yeah, ma bekach the nikra challah. From the fact that it smells like challah, it's called challah. Who cares? But it tastes like wine, and Abaya always goes basar tam. Okay, Kivegas kasha. It's arachian. But either way, when smell is involved, the machloikas, the dynamics change over here. When the smell is different, Abaya and Rava hold different things. Okay, now the Gemara says, Hai bastia. What if you have a barrel of wine? And a bastia means, Machloikas Rashi tells you exactly what it means, but you have a hole in the cover of the barrel. According to Tais, you have a straw over there. You're able to smell the wine or taste it from there. So there's a chashash. Oivet kechavim b'di Yisrael shaper dami. If a guy smells the wine of a yid, it's okay. It's not usher. It doesn't become usher. Yeah, it doesn't become usher for that. Yeah, we don't usher a guy to smell the wine of a yid. Okay, Yisrael b'di oivet kechavim. What if the Yisrael smells the wine of a guy? Can he do that or not? Abaya Amar Asur Rava Machlokes Nacha Machlokes Abaya and Rava, right? Whether smell is like taste, right? Here it's Yain Nesach. Can a yid smell Yain Nesach? Machlokes Abaya and Rava. I says Asur Rava Mamuter. Abaya Amar Asur Reicha Milsi. Reicha is something you can't just dismiss the reich. Reich is nechshev kedavar mamashi. You have to consider it like oichel. Rava Amar Muter Reicha Lav Milsi. How do I know Reichel like Klamhu? That not Tanur Shesika Bekameshal Truma of Boisapas. What if you have a Tanur? And you lit the Tanur, you heated it up with spice of Truma. And then you baked the bread. So now a Zor, he's supposed not allowed to eat Truma. But he wants to eat the bread that was baked in a Tanur that was warmed up, that was heated up with Truma, with Tavlin and Truma. Says the Mishnah Trumas, Apas Muteres. Why? It's only has the smell. So, Reichel Lav Milsa. So, Rava says, I have a Mishnah like me. I'm right. Abaya says, no, Shani Yosan, the Mikle Yisure. Over there, whatever you're smelling from the kamoin is non-existent. They already got burnt. So, when do we say Reichel Milsa? When the source is still in front of us and you're smelling from the source. But if the source is gone, Abaya agrees that Reichel Lav Milsa. Says the Gemara Rav Mori. Rav Mori said, the Machlikas Abaya Rava, Reichel Milsa, Lav Milsa, Machlikas Tanoim. Ketanoi, Avoid the Pas Chamba. And the son of Pichav Shal Yain Shal Truma, a guy takes hot bread from the wall of the oven and he puts it onto the chavius of Yain of Truma. Now it absorbs the reyach of the Yain of Truma. So Reb Meir Oyser, the Meir says, since it absorbs the reyach of the wine of Truma, Truma's asur l'zarim, so Yisrael can't go eat the bread anymore. Rabbi Yehuda Mater, Rabbi Yehuda says no. Pashtas, Reichel Lav Milsa, Machlokes Abayin Rav, Machlokes Rabbi Meir Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Mater, Rabbi Yossi's Mater, B'shal Chitim, V'oisa B'shal Sa'odim. He says, depends what it is. Shal Sa'odim Shoyavois. The Sa'odim, the nature of barley, it sucks up the Reich HaYayin, and therefore it's more Chamer. My Labaka Miflegi Akalpana, what do you see in the Tanoim, Machlokes Tanoim? The Mar, Rabbi Meir Sova Reichel Milsi, that's why he asers the bread, because it sucked up the Reich HaYayin Shal Truma, and Mar Sova Reichel Laiklomu. And Rabbi Yehuda says otherwise. So the Gemara says, this Machlokes Abayin Rav is preceded by Machlokes Tanoim in a Mishnah Trumas. So the Gemara, the Rav Avada Tanoim. Rav says, you're right. According to me, it's Bavadai Machlokes Tanoim. And Rabbi Meir, who says Reicha Milsa, and you're not allowed to eat the bread because it has some of the Reich Yain Shal Truma. Avada says Rabbi Meir, says Rabbi Rav, I don't hold like Rabbi Meir. I argue with Rabbi Meir, but at least I have Rabbi Yehuda to back me up. And Abaye Milei Metanoi. According to Abaye says, no, it's not a Machlokes Tanoim B'chlal. Amalach Abaye says, this is not the Machlokes that I have with Rav B'chlal. Why? Because Lav Mi Itmer Allah, Amar Rabba B'chlal Shlokish, Shlokish says, it depends what kind of pas or what kind of chavius. But pas chama v'chavius psucha, if the pas is hot and the chavius is open, the Rakola Surah. Everybody holds that Avada, the Reyach, goes into the pas, right? The chavius is open, it's uncovered. And the pas is hot, it gets the Reyach. But pas tzoinenes v'chavius megupa, divra koil, muteris. Everybody holds if the pas is cold and you have a cover on the chavius, for sure it's muter. Right? The Reyach doesn't go in there. Lo nechleku el b'pas chama v'chavius megupa. You only have one of the two conditions, right? Either you have a hot piece of bread with a covered barrel, or or you have a cold bread and an open barrel. That's where the machloikas is. So he says, nami, my machloikas by bastia, right? When you have that little hole open and the yid goes and sniffs the yain nesach from there, that's kapas chavius Kapas chama v'chavis psucha dami. That's like a pas chama v'chavis psucha, and memela. In that case, there would be no machlokes Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, we'll stop over here. Yasher koyach.